What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Caleb, and today in this video I'm gonna go over the top 10 dream cars of mine that I would absolutely love to own one day. These are kind of the top 10 cars that I've had on my mind, that I've considered buying or like dreamed of buying. I would love to own some of these one day, or all of these one day. Some of them are a little out there and a little pricey, but you know, I'm a firm believer that you can do whatever you want if you really just work hard enough and put your mind to it. So there's no reason, in theory, why any of us can't buy our dream car. Without further ado, we're gonna get into number one here. But I do wanna say that these are not really in any specific order. These aren't in an order between my least favorite to most favorite. These are just kind of my top 10, and it does jump around a little bit, so be wary of that. But without further ado, we're gonna get into number one. So number one here, the first one on this list for my dream car is a Jeep Wrangler. Technically not really a car, but I would love to own a Jeep Wrangler for a lot of reasons, actually. One, I've never owned an off-road vehicle, and I would really like to get into the off-road world. The off-road world is so cool to me. There's a lot of stuff here in Michigan where I live that you can do off-road. Like, we have a lot of sand dunes. We have the winter, like a good portion of the year, so you can go in the snow, you can go on trails, a lot of that kind of off-road stuff that I've never really been able to do with the vehicles that I own. And that's something I'd really like to get into. Off-roading with a Jeep Wrangler would be amazing, and I would love to actually build one. I really like how customizable these cars are, and if I can buy a Jeep, customize it, you can customize these cars pretty easily. There's so much out there on the market for them. So if I could buy one of these, customize it, and make it my own and enjoy it off-road, that would be a perfect addition to my garage. So I'd love to own one of those one day. The second car on this list is completely different. It moves over to the JDM style car. Now, I've never owned anything besides American cars. I have owned 2 Fords and 1 Chevy in my life, so pretty American vehicles if you ask me. But the JDM car, which I'm pretty sure you guys saw this one coming, is a Nissan GTR. These cars are extremely famous. I would say probably one of the most, if not the most famous JDM car out there, and for good reason. So kind of a backstory on this car. When I was 16, this is when I had my 2005 Mustang, I took a ride in an 800 horsepower GTR, and it absolutely just knocked my socks off. I felt like I was on a rocket ship. I remember it was my friend's neighbor, and he took us for a ride. It was like a black edition, I think it was called. And he took us for a ride in it, and that all-wheel drive on the freeway, we did like a launch on the freeway, and I just felt like I was sent to space. So ever since then, I've kind of had a soft spot for GTRs. I have never driven a GTR. I would love to, but the best I've done so far is I've gotten rides in them. Those are super cool. They obviously live up to their name. They're so customizable. I would love to build one day, and I think it would also kind of offset my garage a little bit. I think it would be like, if I did have the money, I would super seriously consider one. I think it'd be something fun to build on the channel, and especially since I have these American vehicles, or I have owned these American vehicles, I've got all this American car experience, but I don't really have a whole lot of JDM experience, so I feel like it would be cool to kind of balance those and really experience a different world. The next one on this list, number 3 here, this takes a big jump up, is a Lamborghini Huracan. These came out in 2014. And I was pretty shocked when I saw them for the first time. I kind of fell in love with this car. Unfortunately, I have never driven a Lamborghini before, let alone a Lamborghini Huracan. I've sat in multiple Lamborghinis, I've seen multiple Lamborghinis, but I have never driven or ridden in one. So if one of you guys owns a Lamborghini, you know, please hit me up. But this car is definitely on my list here for one day in the future. I would love to own them. I feel like they're pretty customizable. affordable and relatively inexpensive as Lamborghinis go. Right now on the market, I found that you can get one for maybe about $190,000, and I'm sure once I have the money to get a Huracan, that will have dropped because of depreciation. They're still relatively new, coming out in 2014. I do think that with depreciation and hopefully some future success on my part, this will be a car that I can potentially add to my garage one day. Coming in at number 4 here, this is kind of a car category, and that category is a make. The make is McLaren. I am an absolutely massive McLaren fanboy, and this isn't really focused in on one specific car. I do really like the 600 LT, but I'm not entirely sure which one's my favorite yet. I love the look of McLarens. I love the elegance that they give off. I've always been so in love with these cars. I would, if I had the option, I would go for McLaren before a Lamborghini. I just feel like they're a little bit different. When people first have this idea of success or getting something or being rich or something, the first thing they think of is a Lamborghini. And I kind of think that McLarens they're different, and I don't want to be just another Lamborghini owner. I think that McLarens kind of separate themselves from the pack a little bit. I really like it, and I would love to drive one day. Number 5 on this list, we're getting a little bit back down to earth here on this one. This is going to be a Mustang 5.0 that I want to build. I always wanted to build a 5.0 Mustang. I think that it's a great, pretty relatively cheap car to build. I'm thinking kind of along the lines of a 2012 to 14 model. However, I don't entirely know yet, but I've always dreamed about building one of these cars. I had a 4.6 V8, so that was the smaller V8 on my Mustang. With just a little bit more money, you can add a decent amount of power to these 5.0s, and I think that they're a lot of fun to drive, and I would love to build a 5.0 one day. Also, side note, if any of these just kind of ring a bell for you guys and you really want to see something like this on the channel, I am so open to suggestions. Drop something in the comments to let me know which one on this list is your favorite and you would love to see on the channel. Moving along to number 6 here, this is going to be the Zl1 1LE Camaro. This has been one of my dream cars, and I was obsessed with the Camaro. I really wanted to get one for my first car. My dad works for General Motors, and the Camaro was kind of, the cool car opposed from the Corvette that Chevy had to offer. So I really thought that I was going to get one, and I really wanted to get one, and I saved as much money as I could. But at the time, Camaro had this weird thing where they stopped producing the Camaro, and then they started again, I believe, in 2010. So with that gap in years, I really wasn't able to get the body style that I wanted for the money I had. And then the 2005 Mustang was a lot cheaper than what I could get a newer style Camaro in, and I just really didn't have the money for it. So I went for the Mustang, and I'm not mad at it, but I do really one day want to own a Camaro. I did get to drive a Zl1 about a month ago. Honestly, it just reignited my passion for the car, and I thought it was a super cool vehicle. So one day that will definitely be coming to the garage. So make sure to stay tuned. Number 7, this is going to be a completely different area here. I would like to get a electric car. Back when I was a valet, I got to drive tons of vehicles. A lot of the times they would be very new vehicles. I was even shocked at how new some of them are. We would get maybe like an X7 or X8 BMW or some Mercedes models. They would come into the hotel with like 100, 200 miles on it. And I almost wanted to ask the people, I was like, did you just come from the dealership straight to the hotel? These people would have these brand new vehicles. So I got to drive a lot of really cool, mostly along the area of like luxurious cars. I got to drive a lot of cool luxurious cars when I was a valet. One of those cool cars that I wanted to purchase one day is a Tesla Model X. I think that these things are super crazy cool. I consider myself somebody that knows a decent amount about cars. I'm no mechanic or I'm no genius, but I know more than the average person. And I got in this car and I just had no idea what I was doing. It was like I was in a spaceship, because I kind of was. I was able to drive a bunch of different types of Teslas and variations. I remember the P100D Model 3 was a really cool one that I got to drive. The Model X, would love to have one day, absolutely. Now, number 8 on this list, I saw this car when I was at this racetrack by my house called M1 Concourse. It is a sort of private racetrack that has public events that they host. How this place works is that people purchase private garages on and along the racetrack, so you can store your nice fancy cars there and then have them right at the racetrack. And then you can also build up these garages to almost like condos. Some of them have beds and places to entertain and stuff like that in them. So this car that I saw at this private racetrack was a 488 Pista. And let me tell you, the first time I saw this car, I was blown away. I thought it was one of the meanest Ferraris out there, and it definitely goes on this list. I remember that one of the things about this car that really kind of stuck with me is just how mean and classy the interior looked. I don't know if those two ever really go in the same sentence, mean and classy, but Ferrari absolutely knocked it out of the park with this beautiful interior, and I would love to drive one, and I would love to own one of these cars one day. Number 9 on this list is going to be the MK5 Supra. A lot of people love the Supra. And to be honest with you, I don't know a whole lot about Supras. I've only seen a handful of these cars in person, and I really kind of want to see what the hype is about. I know that they're very easy to build, and I know that a lot of people love to put all this time and energy into building this car, and I kind of want to see what it's about. So I think that doing a Supra build would be something that would be crazy cool to do and a great experience and not too expensive compared to some of the cars on this list. Now, the last one on this list is not a car, but it's a truck. That's the TRX Ram. I've driven a lot of different Rams when I was a valet, and one of the things that really kind of stuck with me about the Rams was actually the interior. They have a very nice interior, very nice interface and touchscreen, and they look pretty mean from the outside as well. I really think that Ram stepped up their game in the last 5 to 10 years. I think they completely changed their trucks, and I would love to get this TRX. Now, the TRX is basically just the Hellcat style version of the Ram. It comes in at about 700 horsepower, but nonetheless, I think it looks crazy cool, and I'm gonna need a truck in my life, so I might as well have a 700 horsepower one. Those are gonna be my top 10 vehicles that I want to own one day. They're my dream vehicles, and I can't wait to start adding some of these to my garage when I'm successful one day. It's just an absolute dream, and I wanted to share that dream with you guys. If there was any cars on this list that kind of stuck with you that you also would dream about owning, let me know down below. I'd like to talk to you guys and see what you guys think about these. Some of the builds that I kind of thought about and talked to you guys about, would that be something you guys would like to see on the channel? I mean, just let me know, and I'd love to talk to you guys and see what you guys have to say about some of these cars. That's going to be all for this video. Make sure to smash like if you liked this video. Leave a comment down below. I'd love to talk to you guys. Hit subscribe if you want to stick around. But other than that, that's going to be all for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.